I probably won't do the summer school. We'll see. I have to talk to the superintendent over there anyways.
All right. Welcome, everybody, to today's Facebook Live update. It is Wednesday, March 24th, and I'm going to try and get our lighting a little bit better. Always wants to fight me here. That's better. All right, so we have a little different format today. We have a couple guest speakers who are going to talk to you about resources for the community at large and in general, and I'll introduce them one at a time. They're going to take the hot seat from me. We're going to also put up their contact information in the comments, so anybody who views this video later or at any time today wants more information, you'll know how to get that. And we're excited to have them because it's to Niagara County and North Tonawanda specific. So we want to make sure everybody, especially during this time of COVID and all the time, has resources and knows where they can get help if they need it. After they're done, I'm going to come back and talk to you about all the hot topics around education, 6 feet distance to 3 feet distance, mask wearing, and all those fun things, and sort of a timeline in what we're looking at for implementing some of these changes. So without further ado, we're going to start with the Level Up program, and Mr. Ezra Scott, easy one. All right, so he's going to take the hot seat and introduce the program, and if you have questions, you can type them or call them at a later time.
Thank you very much. So hello everyone, I just want to introduce myself, Ezra Scott Jr. I'm representing Orleans Niagara BOCES, and I'm representing specifically the Level Up Youth Program that is operating under the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. I also want to say thank you to the North Tonawanda School District and also the superintendent for allowing us this opportunity to share the resources and the services that we have here to offer to our Niagara County youth. But let's get into it. The Level Up program, I want to make sure that it's understood that it is funded by the Niagara County Workforce Development Board, which operates with the funds from the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, which was passed in 2014 under Barack Obama and Joe Biden. The whole scheme and the focus of this program is understanding that many of us in life, we have challenges and barriers that we face, and sometimes we may not have that proper support system to help get over those challenges and humps that we come across. And this program specifically, it helps those youth with the different funding sources that we have and supportive services to help them overcome those challenges, and the overall goal is employment. So I want to get into youth eligibility. When it comes to youth eligibility, we work with Niagara County youth. Again, this is focused on Niagara County youth, whether you live in North Tonawanda, Niagara Falls, Lewiston, Lockport, all across. We also work with individuals who have met the selective registration and selective service standards. That goes for our males. We also work with in-school youth and out-of-school youth. And I want to make sure I emphasize that. There's 2 different groups of youth that we work with. Our in-school youth, which are between the ages of 16 and 21, typically is high school seniors. Sometimes we can also work with juniors. And then we have our primary target, which is our out-of-school youth, which are between the ages of 16 and 24. And those are individuals who have been out of school for at least 3 months. And we also have, our priority populations, which are individuals who have served in the military or even been a spouse of somebody who's serving in the military, anybody that has been in the foster care system or currently in the foster care system. We also have individuals who are recipients of public assistance. And then we also have our basic skills deficient individuals, and that's meaning somebody who may not be operating above an 8th grade reading level, writing level, and also a math level, so they can't properly function on a job. Even individuals who may be English language learners as well, they will fall under that category. We also work with individuals who are dealing with some sort of disability. So the eligibility is a lot of people who could fall under it, and we're here to work with them to make sure that they get over those challenges. When we talk about the different services that we offer, we have basic and individualized career services, meaning we work with our youth to help them as far as get their high school equivalency, develop soft skills so they can properly work on a job, but also giving them labor market information, which is tailored specifically Niagara County, so they can learn about what high growth, high demand fields are here. And we're not pushing the trades, but we're also trying to make the youth aware of the trades, because you have what you call right now a middle skills gap, where you have a lot of individuals who were, they were told, with good intentions, go to college, get a college degree, and get you a job. But we have a lot of individuals who are getting ready to retire from the trades, and there's not many individuals who are skilled to take those jobs. So it's a lot of opportunity, and again, that's what we're referring to when we talk about high skill, high growth, and demand jobs. So again, helping with getting your high school equivalency. We have our TABE test, which helps individuals see where they are with reading, math, and language. We also have supportive services as far as helping youth with child care assistance, where we can reimburse you for that cost. We have transportation services, being able to help you with a bus pass, and also even helping out with up to $7 per day with a gas card. We can help you out with your books, your classroom materials, and even if you decide to go get a trade in, welding, carpentry, you may need some steel-toed boots. We can help out with those costs as well. So again, ultimately helping youth out, helping youth with any barriers or hurdles that may come in front of them. We're here to help be a support to them. And then you may be wondering, how do you actually apply for this? You can contact myself, Ezra Scott Jr., or you can also contact Teresa Little. Our phone numbers, 716-731-6800. My extension is 3773. And also Teresa Little's, her extension is 3752. You can reach out to us. If you're interested, we can give you more information, and we can also supply you with the application either for in-school youth or for out-of-school youth. And there's a few pieces of documentation that we will need in the process of this, and that's a state or federal ID. That's your social security card, that's a birth certificate, and also, again, letting us know that you are registered with Selective Services. So in a nutshell, that's the program. We call it the Level Up Youth Program. It is operating under the funding of the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, which is a federal grant. And I also want to make sure that this is made clear. This whole grant, the whole also new focus of this grant is about collaboration. So how can we collaborate with many different partners in our communities, in our county, to help make sure that the youth are getting the resources that they need? You don't only have this program at BOCES or here in Niagara County, but it's also in many other areas if you know people that may be interested in it. And I look forward to speaking to anybody that has any other questions. Please contact me, and I look forward to working with our Niagara County youth. And that's it, and I'm here, and I look forward to sharing more information to anybody that's interested.
Thank you.
Perfect. Yep.
All right. All right, and I see that our webmaster downstairs posted the phone number and the email there. So we hope that those individuals who need that will take advantage of it. And please share this post so they get that. Next is more of an in-house resource services. A few years back, the Board of Education funded a position for our Family Resource Center, and we've been growing that over the last year and a half here now and giving the board updates. And we have Megan here who runs that, who will introduce herself and give you some information with a link to our webpage, which will be posted as well for that information. So we will turn it over now to Megan, and she'll give you some information for in-house local services that pertain to housing and rent and all those types of things. So hang on one second.
Hello everybody, hi NT. My name is Megan Giannino, and I am our coordinator for our Family Resource Center. And our center has started about a year and a half ago, so very new to our school district. Some of the services I provide are parenting support, mental health referrals, and connections to many resources available in NT and some surrounding areas. Mr. Wojtyla mentioned that a link will be provided where you can find my contact information and access to my webpage that is on our school district's website, where I post information about support groups in the community, different types of events for families, and anything that I think would be beneficial for families in our school district to know. My phone number that you can direct your calls to is 807-3571, and that is specifically meant for the Family Resource Center. So calling whether you just have questions or concerns about your children, if you need extra support. A lot of supports I provide pertain to housing, and I think a lot of people in our school district are not aware that I'm available to help with if you're, back on your rent payment. I'm able to help with that if you qualify. You can always call me, and we can discuss your needs, and I'm here to help you and your family to ensure that your child is successful. Pretty much anything that you want to ask, please reach out, give me a call. Please check the webpage that is going to be in our linked below, and that is ever changing. So I'm constantly adding informational resources, events that are happening in the community. So it's always changing. So if you look at it today and you're like, not really sure if this is for me, check it again in a few days or a week from now. It's always changing. I'm really happy to be part of the NT Lumberjack family, and I look forward to getting to know and helping everyone in our school district. Okay, thank you.
Good job, everybody. And our guests are welcome to stay or leave because I know you have busy schedules. But yeah, okay. We put all of our information in there. Megan's is there as well now. For if you want to get to the Family Resource Center. And we hope as it comes up, we know that sometimes spring recess seems like, oh, hooray, we can't wait for it. But for a lot of kids, that's stressful because what they know and what's been the norm, even though it's been a crazy school year, things are changing or families are struggling still. And we want to remind you, too, one of the things on my list is that the free lunch, breakfast and lunch pickup will continue through the 2-week break that we have. At Spruce and high school, our regular time. So March 29th and 31st, as well as April 5th and April 7th. So we hope everybody takes advantage of that, and we'll get back to a lot of good comments for Ezra and Megan here. So it's very nice that people are saying nice job. And hopefully that we'll share this and people will take advantage of it. Now on to the business of North Tonawanda City Schools, right? Because there's a lot going on that we've heard in the news. The CDC changed some of their guidance, right? And now we are working diligently, the superintendents, the departments of health, with sending letters and giving them information and data that the state's looking for to either adopt or make their own changes to the guidance. So as a New York State school district, we follow New York State guidelines. There was a press release earlier this week from the Niagara County Department of Health that as soon as the state adopts or changes their guidelines, Niagara County will follow suit so that we will be set to go. So that means our planning that we've kind of been doing is getting tighter because we know we're going to have to be looking to make a change here probably if the 3-foot rule is adopted by New York State, which I fully anticipate it will, sometime here in the next week or two, which means sometimes right after our Easter spring break. So some of the things the superintendents have brought to the state's attention is just that testing starts soon after our break. So that week of April 19th is the New York State testing for grades 3 through 8, and there's a lot going on. So most school districts in our planning, when talking with superintendents, getting ready for a change from the state, are looking to do something at the end of April so that we have May and June of, sort of regular school opening and what that looks like. There are meetings this afternoon and tomorrow and Friday with different unions from the teachers, administrators. We've been talking to them about what this means. Some of the hurdles we have to overcome with bringing kids back is if it's 3 feet instead of 6 feet, that's great, but you can't make a bus any bigger, right? And so that still doesn't get everybody on the bus. So there's our first hurdle. How are we going to get everybody here who qualifies? And then in cafeteria spaces, because their masks will be off when they're eating, the guidance suggests that they should still be at 6 feet distancing. So will we be using some gyms? Will we be using other classrooms? Will there be other, some schools have cafetoriums, some schools have an auditorium. All these things are being looked at. So each building will be a little bit different too, but I just want you to know we're planning that. Some things on that also go with the CDC versus the state. So when the CDC came out with it, we were all excited, and then we took a minute and we read the guidelines. And the CDC has some different zones, and we might remember back around Thanksgiving, the governor introduced red zones, orange zones, and yellow zones. And New York State was lucky or unlucky enough for North Tonawanda here to be designated a yellow zone, which required us to do testing, right, to stay open. Those zones for New York State kind of fell away, and he never really updated them, and then they just kind of disappeared. The CDC guidance reintroduces zones, and it goes by infection rate, and to further complicate it, it also then, depending on the zone color, has different rules for like 7th through 12th graders than it does through K through 6th graders. So one of the things we suggested is that they don't follow that, because it is a little restrictive if New York State adopts something that it's a little bit more open. And those are the kind of details that we need to get answers to. And we're all looking for them at the same time. The other piece that I want to go through a little bit is remote, right? So I've had a few parents reach out to me already that if the guidelines change and we go to 3 feet and more kids are back in, will we still be offering remote? And the answer is yes. It may look different, and there may be different teachers assigned to do that. It just depends on our talks with the union and how we feel that's best going to suit everybody. Now, going forward, we're going to assume that with 3 feet in some classrooms, we still can't fit everybody. So let's say we measure a classroom, normal times we don't have to worry about distancing, and we have 23 kids assigned to that room. Well, even at 3 feet, when we measure it, that room only fits, say, 20. So now we have 3 kids that don't fit in that room. And we don't want anyone to be unsafe. We don't want to put any teacher or student or parent at home in a situation where we've kind of crammed them in just to get them in here. So there may be some teachers shifting, there may be things along those lines. And those are all the details we're working out, anticipating the guidance from New York State very soon. Let's see what we have here. Some little things, and then I'll get to questions because I'm sure there's a bunch of them. Sports are continuing. We have actually April football, which is completely different for high schools. We're always doing that in the fall, and it's been moved to April. Our first game is away. It's April 1st. And then there's 2 home games in April on April 8th and 15th. Those will be sort of CDC televised, because right now the guidance is still 2 visitors per player. But we'll see if that changes. All this is probably going to shift very quickly here, even though we're on recess. I anticipate being very busy because I think we're going to be getting memos and changes coming. Sports, of course, is by Section 6. We have volleyball starting, which could be indoor, which would follow different rules than outdoor. So there's a lot of things that are on our radar for sports that we'll be giving you an update as soon as we get any changes. Right now, nothing has changed. The visitor rule is 2 per player. Let's see. There is a thought exchange up that ends today. And we've been reviewing it and going in and checking to see what's, if anyone needs anything or if there's any questions in there that are hot topics. And it's basically, when we do return back to normal, what from this crazy year of COVID and hybrid instruction and remote instruction did you like for us to keep going forward? And there's some surprises in there, some very nice comments from people as well. On how well the school district bounced on this and adapted quickly. But we are looking for that because all these programs, all these iPads cost money. We want to make sure that there's a use for them going forward as we keep that up. Transportation, I mentioned, being a hurdle. And then I'll mention this again at the end, but next Wednesday, the 31st, there will not be a Facebook Live, but I'll be back on April 7th. And I may be on an off day if news changes and I need to get some information out to parents, as well as using our global calling system to contact you. So there'll be a lot, I anticipate, even though we're off. We may have a few days of quiet, but then I think it's going to get very busy, especially that second week of April, April 5th, with us understanding many of the changes. Oh, and I see Mr. Fox posted the link to the Thought Exchange. So that has been up for 2 weeks. There's hundreds of thousands. There's hundreds of thoughts and thousands of ratings on them. So very popular one this time, and we appreciate everybody who's done it. And you can go back in to rate new thoughts as well as they come in. I'm going to back up here a little bit, put on my goggles so I can read this properly. Let's see what we got. All right. If anyone were to travel, will kids have to quarantine for school, or has this lifted? So don't come back before April 1st. If you come back to New York State after April 1st, you don't have to quarantine. If you come back the 31st or the 30th of March, you do have to quarantine. The travel ban is lifted effective April 1st. So if you want to travel, you don't want to come back until the 1st or 2nd. Crossing fingers. Can't speak for anyone else, but my childhood has an incredibly difficult time with hybrid. Let's see. But I'm grateful for work you are doing because it obviously insane overall. Okay. So yes, we're hoping to get back sooner than later. When we do this 3 feet, will there still be a remote option, or is it only full-time at school? So there will be a remote option with changes, and we're working those out. Like I mentioned, I have a meeting after this Facebook Live to kind of finalize that. And then before we announce it, we want to make sure it's going to be in guidance with New York State. So we're going to compare what we're planning with New York State to make sure it meets the guidelines, and then we'll announce that to everybody, but there will be a remote option of some type. I know you can't say for sure, but are you thinking May for back to normal school? Also, will it be 4 or 5 days a week? All right, so May would be the last, that first week of May would be the last. If we could do something the week of April 26th, we'd even look to do it. I think we're going to phase it in, work our way up, K3, 4, 6, 7, 12. So that's part of the tentative plan. And I think depending on the level, we may have some 5 days and some 4 days as we finalize those plans this week. But it will not be less than 4 days. Okay, there's a thought exchange. My daughter is a cheerleader. Is she considered 2 per player as well as football? You mentioned players. Cheerleading was made a sport actually a few years ago. So yes, it's 2 per cheerleader as well. Yes, I probably should have waited. Glad you're keeping the remote option. I want my children to finish this year remote. I had some of those numbers here, and of course then I cleaned my desk. And this is what happens. But the remote numbers, we have on average, 40 students remote at each grade level. So I'm going to give you some round numbers here. We have about 250 students per grade level. So 250 kindergartners, 250 4th graders, 250 12th graders. That's an average. Some are 270, some are 230. 250s are average. And the average then of parents who are in full remote, not coming to hybrid at all, is around 35 to 40 students at a grade level. So that means when we open schools up, we're going to have about 200 of each grade level in. So it's not going to be, all this roomy extra space. So we really have to be careful about that. I know people think, some people don't believe in it at all, and some people are very strict and want to do that. But when you look at the numbers, it's very realistic. So that's where we're at. So we look at all those numbers, and the thing that's going to change, regardless of what happens, is that people are going to be locked in. So right now, we're people who are remote who want to try hybrid, and they're coming in and they're going out, or I tried hybrid, I don't like it, I want to go back to remote. Well, once we do this in May, if you're remote till the end of the school year, and if you are coming in, you're going to be an in-person person till the end, because the numbers of who's teaching remote people can't be fluctuating that much, because it's a hard job to teach remotely. Let's see. I think I lost my spot. Okay. Okay. Glad you are keeping remote option. I want my children to finish this year remote till they can be vaccinated. Very good. Light at the end of the tunnel. Thank God. Hopefully for the state to adopt 3 and transportation ends up being a smaller issue than what it's always been. I'll apply to the district to drive a bus a couple of days a week if it helps. NT families can band together. Yeah, and you know what? I think some families would be willing, I hope, can get their kids to school. I know that's not possible for everybody, because we do have a lot of people who use the bus, but right now it won't go less, right? So if you're able to be bused to school 2 days a week, we should be able to adjust that to 3 days, because it'll be a 3 and a 2. And so that should help, but we're going to keep our fingers crossed on what the ruling is for busing. Is there a reason Erie County schools are moving forward with kids back in school at least 4 days a week? They seem that they're not waiting on the state. Well, we talked with them yesterday. There are a variety of schools doing different things. It really depends on their situation, okay? So we had some Niagara County school districts who were open 5 days because they were smaller class sizes, they could do the 6 feet, and they could do a lot of things. In Erie County, some of those districts bought barriers, which now barriers actually have been removed. They don't even say they do any kind of stopping the virus. So I can't talk for other schools because I don't know their ideal situation. And I even know here in Niagara County, when we start it is going to fluctuate among the school districts. Some would like to start April 12th. Some are looking at that same time frame as myself, the end of April. It makes it difficult to plan an open when no one's here for 2 weeks, basically, to move desks and to get everything in place. So I feel we need a little bit of extra time to get things in place. The programming won't be a problem, but the things in place, and we're going to move that up as fast as we can. So every district will be a little bit different in getting back open. Is there any news on graduation? We hope to have everybody graduate. And we have sort of 2 or 3 plans for graduation, an indoor and outdoor drive-by. It will not be anything less than a full movie like we did last year with the drive-through. But as guidelines are lessening, we're hoping that by the end of April we can plan something that involves the greatest number of people at one time. What we've heard from the students is that they really want to be there with their friends. The drive-by is nice, but they're only in a car with 4 or 5 people, and they don't get that whole camaraderie of being with their friends. So we have to have a rain date. If it's outdoor, is a number of people can come than indoor. So we are working on plans, but they're not finalized because I think we're going to see one more push from the state to open up on the restrictions so that we can do a little bit more. If you need to add a phone number to get robocalls, there's 2 ways to do it. The best way is to call the school so they have your up-to-date information. Or you can call the central office, 807-3500, and when you go through the list of options, 1, 2, 3, 4, I believe it's 1 or 2 is educational services, and they can put you in the computer. Do kids need to be vaccinated to be in school when it becomes available? That has not been made a law yet. It is not. Right now, today, it's not. In a month, can I tell you if they're not going to add that? I don't know, but right now it's not. If the state gives the okay for 3 feet after saying not enough buses to space kids could hinder going back to school full time. If so, can you give parents opportunity to opt out of busing? I do think yes. So yes, we had a number of students right now who, um, even though the parents are trusting the school, did not trust the kids on the bus to stay separated and that whole time. So they are driving them already, and there'll have to be some adjustments made. But yes, hopefully we can get everybody here who needs to be. Is it still only home games we are able to attend? That's my understanding. I had a call into the athletic director about that because they're televising it or they're live streaming it for the away team. But I know there's a meeting with Section 6 at the end of this week, and if they change anything, we'll let you know. Let's see. I'd say no since they're not vaccinated for it now, and nor has it been cleared for you. Yeah. Well, yeah, there's not even a vaccine for kids. She's right. They're in the testing phase. Yes, you can always opt out for busing. Correct. Uh, that's, I think, this phone number that someone posted is for the person who needs to update their global call number. Thank you for working so hard to find the most normal solutions for senior milestone moments. Yeah. So we have a few things going on. I know the committee that does the prom has been talking with the Wolitzer building on some indoor-outdoor options for that. You know, this changes so fast, right? So if we were to say today, this is what we're doing, before the prom or before graduation, that could all change because the regulations are changing. And it could go backwards, right? The other thing with starting right after spring break is we know people are going to take advantage of the warm weather. They're going to be out and about. They're going to see people, stop and talk. If or if not, you're going on vacation and traveling and all those things. And after every holiday we've had, there's been an uptick in COVID cases. So to say we're going to start right away that Monday after spring break really doesn't make a lot of sense because we don't know who's bringing what back in. Kids have not been vaccinated, so they could bring it to the school. While staff is getting vaccinated, you know, it's not mandatory for staff either to get vaccinated. So they've not made it mandatory. It's still voluntary, so that doesn't mean every staff member in a school is vaccinated. And then don't get me started because vaccines are not 100% proof, right? There's variants of this COVID virus that are out and about, and just because you're vaccinated, you think you're not going to get something, you could get a variant of it. So we have a long way to go yet. We're not out of the woods just because it went to 3 feet. And we can be at 3 feet for 3 weeks and cases could skyrocket and the governor will shut us down again or make us go back to 6 feet. So we want to do it with a plan. We want to do it so if we do have to shift gears quickly, we can go back to what we were doing safely and be ready for that. When will you know anything about exams for middle school, high school, and will there be summer school? So I'm going to start at the end. There is summer school. Summer school through BOCES as normal. The district is also looking at offering some type of summer programming. We're still in the development stages for that. We're hoping that the summer programming could be, it won't be summer school for K-6, but it'll be summer enrichment to keep kids or kind of catch them up who weren't out and about. But again, we have to look at the regulations, right? So can we have 20 kids in a room? Do we have to have 12? Do we have to be separated? So it's not easy just to say that. Now, BOCES, on the other hand, is limiting the class seats, but they're going to have as many sections as needed so that kids who need the credit at 7 through 12 to graduate can get it in summer school. So that's all part of it. Is pre-K included in the plan? Pre-K would be included in the return to school plan, if that's what you're talking about. So if we move to 4 days or 5 days instruction at the K-6 level, pre-K would move with it as well. They are their own entity. They do have some other rules to follow because they're under 5 years old. They're not school age, but I know that they would the guidance of 3 feet would affect them, so they would make changes. What grades are in summer school? Summer school is typically for really 8th through 12th grade. Some 7th graders might if they wanted to get ahead, but typically it's for remediation if you failed the course, those courses that are credit bearing to graduate, and it's typically 9 through 12. There are some 8th graders that fall into that criteria when we do summer school. So no definite dates and no definite plan, but it's coming soon, and there'll be a lot of things going out there because we're going to need to know. Now, here's the other thing that we've heard in some districts, that parents have been sending their kids in the hybrid mode because they're comfortable with that, but they have told in other districts that they're not comfortable with the schools being full. So that means there could be more remote kids, right? Because they don't want to send their kids back. So these numbers are going to fluctuate over the next 3 weeks, and then we're going to have to lock everybody in. Regents exams this year have not come out of New York State, definitely. New York State is applying for the waiver. In our last meetings this week, they were not hopeful that that waiver would be accepted, which means there will be limited Regents exams for some kids, which means now we have to say, do they have to pass it? Do they not have to pass it? We got to get into the details of that. They're kind of holding to give us the details until they see if they accept the waiver where no Regent exams will have to be given. Yes, vaccinations prevent severe illness. You can still get it, but it won't be as severe. Correct. That is correct. From what we're hearing on the data today, and we're hoping that all the people who are immune compromised or the elderly in your families have been able to find an appointment and get it. I know the Department of Health said they were doing the most vaccines they've done since it started this week, so that's a good sign that they're getting more. They even got some of the Johnson & Johnson in this area, which is the 1 shot instead of the 2 shot. And we're hopeful that we're at the end of this. So we will be back with updates as needed. Remember, I won't be on the 31st, but I'll be back the 7th for sure. And if I need to be back sooner through a global call and using Facebook Live to let you know any of the definite dates and changes that are coming, I will use it, at a moment's instance, and then people can share it out. But for sure, April 7th. In the meantime, enjoy the weather, stay safe, have a happy, safe Easter, and we will see you in about a week, 2 weeks from today. If you have questions, though, you can keep posting today, and we will answer them over the next couple of days if people see this later in the day. Don't forget how we started with our exciting guests with Level Up from Niagara County and Ezra, and our Family Resource Center with Megan. Go back in the feed of questions and you can see their contact information. And please don't forget that if you need lunch or breakfast while school is closed, that you can get those on Mondays and Wednesdays at the same location and time. Last chance too for thought exchange. So if you'd like to give us your thoughts on things from this past year, we'd love to have you go in there and share your thoughts and rate some others. Thank you, everybody, and have a safe Easter.